What's that, pet? There's some humanoid creatures joining us on the YouTube? How marvellous! Oh, I hope they enjoy my stories.
So a lot of the time when DMs or players are playing D&D and they think characterization, and role-playing, they think accents. And I think a lot of that has to do with the popularization of recorded sessions and, you know, big brand names and, you know, how they run their sessions. And they're trained voice actors, they're really good at their jobs, it's what they do for a living, so of course they're going to be fantastic at it. But for us lay people who, you know, don't do that full time and have access to, you know, the training and the years of experience and all of that kind of jazz, it can feel really intimidating and you can feel really self-conscious and like you're doing a really horrible job at it. And you don't have to use it as a tool. It's really fun, it takes a little bit of work, but honestly it's about 90% practice and 10% auditory ability. So if you don't have that natural ability to be able to pick up on those lexical and tonal nuances when you're replicating sounds, it's going to be really difficult for you to maintain that accent over time. Now, I've practiced this one a lot. My husband's really into Stephen Maturin novels at the moment, and the man who reads those novels on the auditory book has an Irish accent for Stephen Maturin, and so he'll come home and he'll just, you know, recite bits and pieces from that novel, and then I'll start talking like it, and then we'll both be talking like it, and then the kids will be like, what the hell are you guys doing? And listening to him do that has kind of helped me turn back my Irish accent from fiddle-de-dee potatoes to something that's a little bit more manageable and a little bit more conversational. And again, it's been months and months of practice, so it does take, it's a slow journey to get there and to get there good unless you have like a significant natural ability. I'm really jealous of my husband. I really want him to get into voice acting, but you know, I don't think it's something that's ever going to happen. He's just very, very talented that way, and it's definitely something to be jealous of. But if you don't have that natural ability, there's other things that you can do. So what you want to do is have something that you can consistently carry, and it can be really hard. Especially when you're trying to switch from one accent to another, you'll often have to take pause and see what it is that makes that accent really special so that you can flick between one and the other. And I'm not very good at it, and I've had to do this video in a lot of takes because I keep switching between one and the other, and then they blend together and it's a whole mess of language. But the good thing about being a DM is that you're in the driver's seat and everyone else is not doing that role. So if they wanted to criticize you, then they should probably be doing it, and then you can make fun of them. And maybe don't do that because that might dissolve your whole group. Maybe just go, I'm working on it, or if they're going to be really horrible about it, just kick them out. Fuck them, you don't need them. Another option you can use is to use your PCs if you're playing in any other games, and to carry that through and practice, and the stakes are lower. You've got more time to refine your presentation of your accent and to develop what you think should be a character. But likewise, you could also annoy your spouse and present your children with some crazy talking. My children do not really care when I do this. My 9-year-old is like, Mom, you're not funny. Which I guess is its own experience, because you can just utilize that, and then you've got a teenage character when you've got a preteen. It's great. Take inspiration from all of the places. You're gonna often have some accents that you're just gonna be garbage at. So, you know, my Slavic accent, hopeless. I've got is potato, and even that's not very good. So if I've got someone else who's talking in that accent around me, I can pick it up and roll with it a little bit better because I've got those auditory cues. But for me, it's one that I'm not going to be very good at over time, so I generally don't tend to use it as like an ongoing one, because it's just, you'll break your immersion. Ones that you're not really good at in a game, presenting it, you're going to have to be worrying about so many other facets to your game, what your characters are doing, what your NPCs are doing, what your environment is doing. If you're stumbling over an accent in a game, it will put you off, you'll feel embarrassed, and you'll just drop all of those balls that you've been juggling, and it will just make the whole thing really, really hard for you. So if you are going to bring in an accent into a game, make sure that you've done a lot of practice on it, you can pick it up and roll with it consistently, and you can transition between them if you are running multiple, because it will be jarring to the people that you're playing with. It'll be, really horrible for you, and nobody really wants that when they're running a game. D&D should be fun, and those kind of things, when you have those negative sides, don't really bring a whole bunch of fun into your game. So another thing that you can do aside from accents is voice adjustments, and that's changing the tone of your voice, the pitch of your voice, or the quality of your voice. And so that could mean making your voice really, really high and really annoying,
Or you could bring it really low and sound very saucy. Damn, gotta do that laundry.
I'm not really good at that. I'm not a man. My vocal cords are shorter, so I can't do deep voices very well. So you could change the quality of your voice.
It's kind of good for an old man. You think that you're going to be finding yourself in a gutter one day? Oh, I think I'm gonna go lie down.
And that's kind of like a step between accents and just straight characterization, and it's more attainable for most people to just change the quality of their voice just a little bit, and you can have like an anchor to a character. So you've got, like, this is my old man, this is my child, this is my woman, this is my regular man, or you can go like, this is my ham voice, where everything is super jovial and you will be entertained by the wonderful condition of this fine establishment. And that's something else that you can do. The most accessible tool that you're going to have as a DM is not your voices, it's not your accents, it's honestly just your characterization. And that's your character's personality, their traits, their flaws, their quirks, and how that all comes together to create that new person that you're playing for that brief period of time. So when you're running on the fly, it can be really, really helpful for you to prep some random NPC cards, and you can just have them. You can stick them beside your DM screen. If you're playing on the computer on a VTT, then you can stick them to your wall, and then you've just got an array of them if you want, or on a second screen on your computer. So that way you can just pick one out, look at their traits really briefly, and you've got a couple of anchors that you can hold on to as you're trying to portray that character. One thing that I try to do is dip into like literally trying to be that NPC. And one of the things that you can do to try and help you do that is to think, act, and use your posture and your facial expressions to basically simulate that person and yourself into one. So if you are playing someone who really has a distaste for the PCs, screw your face up, and then you'll be like, all those feelings will kind of naturally come to you. So like, ugh, what are you doing here? You've got this whole peasant outlook, and you've got muddy shoes on the carpet. I don't think your kind is welcome in here. You look poor. The riffraff should be out on the street. And that, really helps me. It just kind of just paves the way for your mind to be able to follow what your body is doing. Another thing that you can do is give yourself a character anchor, and that's something that you think of mentally when you're actually trying to bring yourself into that character. So one of the ones that I use for me is for Bonnie, and it's like, hello, I'm Bonnie, I'm a bard. And that brings my voice and like personality, that inflection, straight to the forefront, and I can just roll with it from there. And I'll often do that right before a session. When you're playing those NPCs in your game, you can have those kind of liners as well, but you do have to practice them outside of time, like outside of game time, to be able to utilize them completely. One thing that you can also do is to invest some time into your recurring NPCs. So the characters that you might find that the players are coming back to, and you can go around your house, and it can be like a giant game of like make believe, and you can pretend to be that person. It does feel embarrassing and self-conscious at first, but like if you learn to give less F's about what other people think, you're just going to be a much happier person generally. So just seize that weird and fly that freak flag, as it were, because be you, be happy with you. You're going to have a lot more fun, and your games are going to be a lot more interesting if you can bring, those different kind of personalities to play. You don't have to lean on those accents. They're fun and they sound really cool, but they're not 100% necessary. So I hope that helps. Obviously, I'm not a voice actor. I kind of suck a little bit at my own accents, but this is kind of the process that I go through when I'm designing characters or I'm looking to lean into characters when I am running a session. If you are liking these tutorials that we're popping up, please like and subscribe to the channel. I currently have a hyperfixation on the D&D tutorials at the moment, so I'll be hammering through some content hopefully this week and in the coming weeks and for as long as it lasts. We do have a Patreon and I'm preparing content to be published on there. I will link to our Telocitale session, which is a one-shot that I ran a couple of weeks back. On our Patreon, I've actually done the adventure write-up for that as a one-shot template that you can read and you can run, and I'd really love to see what you've done with it. If you do choose to do that, you can, comment with your own link to what your session has done, or you can come and visit in our Discord. We have a really friendly Discord group where you can come in and join us and chat all things D&D and Raging Rolls and tell us about your adventures. And I would just so love to see that content out there and about and having fun and chaos all over the place. Until next time.